Hi there, and welcome back. Externalization also means that some of the strange and sometimes absurd things that our children say suddenly become acceptable or at least interesting again. Now, adults say weird stuff all the time, like, my fear is all knotted up in my stomach, or a stone fell from my heart, or I carry around this incredible burden, or anger is eating me up inside. And we don't realize what they mean and how close that brings us to changing and transforming these inner patterns. But when the child says, "It wasn't me that hit her, it was my hand," any reasonable parent would say, "Oh, stop that nonsense. It's your hand, so you move your hand, so you did it." You probably haven't tried saying, "Well then, in that case you and I had better have a talk with that hand of yours." But you can say that from now on, and I promise you that you'll see a different result than previously. The first time a client boy told me that it was his hand that hit, he was pretty surprised when I said just that. And it was like his shoulders dropped and I had his full attention and trust. Within 15-20 minutes, he had transformed the hitting hand into a thoughtful hand that really liked to stay in his right hand pocket. When you help your child externalize an emotion or something going on inside of them, it will invariably come out as a metaphor. This is a good thing because while the brain is programmed with electric impulses firing between the neurons, the mind is programmed with metaphors. The metaphors are the actual description of what is going on inside the subconscious mind. This means that when we change the metaphor, we change the programming of the subconscious mind. And when we change the programming in the subconscious mind, we change the patterns that motivate our behavior. This allows us to create transformations that are not only lasting, but also have immediate results. On one of my live parenting courses, a mom worked with her son between day 1 and 2 of the live training. The boy had had trouble falling asleep for years and would typically spend almost exactly 90 minutes lying in his bed, moving around before finally falling asleep at night. He claimed that he wanted to sleep but couldn't. This time she asked him, "What's going on inside of you that is keeping you awake?" And he answered, "Oh, it's Spirou and his friends. And they're all playing a soccer match." It turned out that the 90 minutes every evening was because the boy couldn't fall asleep as long as the soccer match was going on. The mother asked, "How do you feel about them playing soccer inside your mind like that?" "Not good. I'd rather fall asleep," the boy said. "What would you like to have happen to Spirou and his friends?" asked the mother. "I'd like them to stop playing soccer," said the boy. "How would you like them to stop playing soccer?" Thinking a bit, the boy answered, "Now, if I had Sorglob's ice gun, I could just shoot them and they would freeze and stop playing." The mom just followed along and said, "That's a great idea. Imagine that you have Sorglob's ice gun right now. What happens when you freeze them?" The boy closed his eyes, pointed a finger in the air, and started making laser-like little shooting noises. Zoom, zoom, zoom. The mother suggested that he did this inside his head, and after about a minute, the boy fell asleep. The next morning, the boy's father said to the boy, "I heard that you froze Spirou and his friends last night." To which the boy answered, "Yes, I did, and I'm going to do it again tonight." This is a great example of transformation from the inside out. The parents had tried a number of things with an onset in the inexpedient behavior, and none of it had worked. They had tried motivational tactics, but as long as Spirou was in the boy's head and the boy didn't know how to control his thoughts, the motivation would be hard to keep up over the long run. It's also a great example of transformation in ordinary conversation. The mother just went along with whatever came out of the boy's mouth. This may take some practice, but the hardest part for most people is not to suggest a solution. Remember that even when you get a sense of what is in your child's mind, you still don't know the solution to their problems. If you let him, he will surprise you with his ingenious solutions to his problems, just like this boy did with the freeze gun. Or maybe he won't. Some kids do not find this to be very easy in the beginning, and that's perfectly fine. Some adults find it hard too. Mostly this comes down to realizing that this is suddenly an okay way of communicating about things inside of you. And often it's a matter of trust that whatever comes out from the inside of the mind will be well accepted and taken good care of. That the child will not be scolded or blamed for whatever strange things that are in there. This is where the power of positive intention comes into play once again. If whatever comes out of your child's mouth is accepted as what is going on inside your child's mind, and that you together acknowledge that whatever is in there is trying, while maybe not succeeding, to help your child. Spirou was probably created by the boy at some point in his life when he maybe didn't want to go to bed and was bored and wanted something to do instead of falling asleep. When you wonder out loud about things like this, the child will often either correct you with a real positive intention or just accept that you are on his side on this. Sometimes the child has a strong negative bond with an emotion and will not be able to accept and acknowledge the emotion as having a positive intention. In that case, don't push it and just move on. Moving on often means getting clearer on the metaphor. If it's an emotion, you can ask about details like location in the body or outside the body, the emotion's size, its consistency and color, and so on. If it's an inner voice, inner dialogue, a thought pattern, then you can ask about the way the voice speaks to him, the words, and also the volume, and even who it sounds like the voice belongs to. I use the word like a lot to take the edge of, in sentences like, the inner voice, whose voice is it like? Or, who does the voice sound like? Instead of going, who's saying that inside your head? Because the latter might create confusion or distraction because that real person is not actually saying anything inside the child's mind. I hope that this has piqued your interest for more on how to help your child externalize his or her mental patterns. In the next video, I run through an example of how I helped my daughter externalize her stomachache so that she could go to school without being in pain every morning. I also show you how you can do this work with your child. See you in the next video.